Hello again, this is Mr. Everything, and I'm coming at you with another Starship Spotlight. This one is of the Aegis Dynamics Javelin class destroyer. Now, the Javelin class destroyer is a pretty big monster. It's a big ship. It's not as big as a Bengal carrier. But here, let me pull up a size chart so you can kind of see where the Javelin falls in. It's located right here, and you can see the Bengal right above it, and the Aegis right above it. The Javelin looks like it's possibly 2 to 4 times bigger than the Aegis, and we're going to go into details, specifications, stats, things like that today to kind of shed a little light on what it is to have the Aegis class destroyer. Now, you know there are many classes of ships between the fighter all the way up to the carrier. Let's talk about that. There's going to be single-seat fighters, of course, and then there's going to be your two-seat fighter / torpedo bombers, like the Gladiator. And then there's going to be multiple cruise ships, like your Retaliator or your Constellation Freelancer, right in that size range. And I'm specifically talking about the military now. We're talking about like the Retaliator. Now, if you scoop it up a little bit higher, you've got the Corvette, which we don't know what will fall into the Corvette scale. Then the next scale up is the frigate, which you have the Idris falls into that category. Then right above frigate, you're looking at destroyer. Now, the destroyer is supposed to be a ship that can defend a fleet versus a smaller vessels like fighters, incoming capital ship missiles. It should have some anti-aircraft capability and anti-missile capabilities. And it should have some good sensor suites because it's going to be on the periphery of your fleet as it moves. Then above that, moving inside your fleet formation, you're looking at light cruisers. You got light cruisers, that's going to be bigger than a destroyer. We're waiting for those. Haven't seen any of those. Then you're going to have actual cruisers. And cruisers are supposed to be the meat and potatoes of any fleet. And then above that, you're going to look at maybe a battle cruiser, which they've talked about actually implementing a battle cruiser, which is going to be about the size of, almost the size of a Bengal, I would think. It would be bigger than your cruiser, which is about half the size of a Bengal, I would guess. And then your battle cruiser, which is going to be a little bit larger. Then the next ship up from that would be a battleship. A battleship is going to be pretty dang big, almost exactly the same size as a Bengal. And then, of course, you've got your carriers. Now, inside that, you might have some auxiliary ships like fuel tankers, repair ships, troop transports. You might have escort carriers, things like that. Okay, but what we're talking about is the Javelin class destroyer, which has been released to the public. What they're saying is some of them have been decommissioned to allow for a percentage of them to be sold to the general populace. And my understanding is they sold 200 of them. They sold 50 at a time, four times. So you're looking at 200 of them are going to be in the universe. Now, they specifically did that to prevent an overabundance of them. I can't believe that people would go out and they would pay $2,500 for a virtual ship. That, to me, was just incredibly high for any ship. I know there's guys out there that are completionists and want to have all the ships in the universe, and they have more money than they know what to do with. But I can't. Now, I can guess maybe an organization getting together. Maybe if you've got an organization of 250 people and every one of them pitches in for like $10, you go ahead and get one of these, and that could be your organization's like main ship. But let's take a look at it, okay? The Aegis Javelin, designed for the UE military. The Javelin is massive modular capital ship that can be appropriated for entrepreneurial use. It has a detailed interior, plenty of modular room options, and a high crew capacity. It's intended for group play. Well, you would expect so. It's just so large. And it's almost finished in the pipeline. It was designed by David Hobbins. The Javelin since has been implemented by Foundry 42, and they're planning on using it in their game Squadron 42, and it'll be featured prominently. It has 5 decks. Okay, so that's the most I've heard of so far. And remember, just because you buy a Javelin doesn't mean it's a free ride to interstellar domination. And it's actually the smallest of the UEE ships of the line. Right, because destroyer through carrier would be the ships of the line. All of its weapons have been removed, but that doesn't mean you can't go back and put weapons back in. Now let's talk about the Javelin. Here's the bridge, right? It's a heavily armored bridge. It looks out over the rest of the superstructure. It's centered around Fleet Class Command and Control interface. It allows a dozen crewmen to have full run of both the destroyer's facilities and eye-on awareness and deep space environments. Basically, it's going to have large windows, but it also is going to have a huge sensor suite. It's going to have an officer. I'm sorry, back up. It's going to have a captain, an XO, communications, weapons, radar, helm, and science positions. Okay, and the bridge is surrounded by an escape pod, so at any time the bridge crew needs to leave, they can do that. Escape pods can be found throughout the ship, so depending on where you're, and they can carry 5 crewmen each. They're military spec'd out. And if you look inside the bridge, and I'm going to take a little bit. If you look inside the ship, you got this big, huge holo display. You got your crew positions around. You know, it looks like there's a lot of room for people like the XO and the commander and stuff to kind of stand. And right in the front of the holo display, you see like there's this little spot where you stand and hold on to the rail and give your command orders and things. That looks pretty cool. Okay, let's talk about the top deck now, right? The top deck, also known as Officer Country, is home to quarters for the ship's captain and executive officer, and has the comforts of home. Prime attraction of the top deck is 6 modular rooms, and the upper hangar used for smaller launches or cargo. Aegis Dynamics produces an array of battle-oriented room modules which can easily be slotted in and out of place. So when you're back in orbit, you know, you can mix and match and fit these the way you want. And of course, there's the escape pods on the top deck. And the Javelin isn't just a name, it's the ship's internal layout philosophy. It's based around a long, straight Javelin corridors. Right-angle turns are used to almost exclusively connect to the more long, straight corridors, giving the ship an overall cramped but stretched feel. Alright, just something I want to point out. If you look at this picture here, you can see that there's access to 7 5-man escape pods. Okay, so there's 7 of them just on the bridge, which you think might be a little excessive since you're only going to have about 12 people up there. And then what do we have? On the top deck where it has access to the bridge, captain's quarters, XO quarters, 6 other modular rooms, access to the upper level hangar, and you have the main airlock and cargo lift, and it has 2 5-man escape pods. And if you notice the hallway here, it looks very similar to the Retaliator, both being Aegis Dynamics constructed, military, UEE military style. You would expect them to look very similar. That's what I would think. Okay, mid-deck. Okay, mid-deck aboard the Javelin is where the real work happens. It includes space for 2 torpedo bays, 6 turret emplacements, giving the ship both offensive and defensive capabilities. The Javelin's engine column is located here. The Navy advises that it be staffed at all times for optimal performance. Onboard communications. 2 modular component rooms can be slotted in the mid-deck. The left flank includes access to the hangar, medbay, and brig, while the right flank includes 2 sets of crew quarters, showers, toilets, and the mess hall. And it also includes escape pods. Each deck is given a specific function, and in the case of the mid-deck, Divided laterally with crew habitation and functions placed on the right and the military functions on the left, the subdecks are reserved for engineering and turret access, with their cramped, dimly lit corridors reflecting their utilitarian maintenance purpose. And you can see right here this guy's going into the mess hall. But let's take a look at what you see on this picture of the Javelin, this X-ray. It says you got 2 torpedo rooms, 10 standard turrets. You got 6 5-man escape pods, and then you got the hangar, med bay, a brig, so you can, if you need to, somebody gets unruly, or if you are able to capture some of your enemy. And then you got a couple of crew quarters and crew facilities. You got to have that potty. And then the mess hall, of course, to eat. Okay, and then you have a bottom deck, which is the one right below, which the Javelin's bottom deck includes 6 dedicated cargo rooms. So it's got a lot of cargo. 2 engineering facilities and access to the engine room. From the engine column, crew can access 2 STS turrets, ship to ship, and 4 of the modular component rooms. The Javelin's main hangar is also located in this area. While smaller than a dedicated carrier's hangar, the Javelin can still accommodate a limited number of individual spacecraft. The hangar is primarily designed to deploy a single Aegis Redeemer gunship and a crew of Marines for boarding operations. But other ship types can also be stored. It could carry a Gladius, a Hornet, an Avenger, a Gladiator, 300 series. It could even carry 2 M50s, 2 Auroras, a Cutlass, a Mustang, or 4 Merlins. So basically it's only carrying 1 ship, 1 good ship. Now it has the 6 cargo rooms located right here, 2 engineering rooms in the back there, access to the engine column, access to the sub deck. The Javelin is a pair of sub decks with access to additional functionality. Subdeck 1 provides access to 2 modular component rooms, while Subdeck 2 features 3 Class 6 air-to-air turrets and placed in a maintenance EVA sublock. The subdecks are mostly exposed to space and the best place to assign junior organization members. The ship's 6 total swappable, customizable rooms make the base Javelin a chassis that can be customized for different roles, switch between these rooms. Although it's primarily a focused combat vessel, the functionality has allowed the Javelin to serve well. I'm not sure what that big disc is on the right. It might be an EVA airlock thing. It says it's the gunnery corridor. Okay, let's talk about tech specs here a little bit. Length is 345 meters. The beam is 148 and the height is 65. Cargo capacity. It says that it can carry 5,400 standard cargo units. That's a hell of a lot. The minimum crew is 23. So you're looking at you're got to have at least 23 people to succeed, to actually operate every portion of the ship that needs to be manned. Remember, some of that can be used with AI or a combination of players. Max engine, 4 TR7s. I assume the 7s and above are for cap ships, and who knows what the thrust. Now, maneuvering thrusters, 12 TR4s, so I don't expect it to be so nimble that it just spins on a dime, right? Max shield, 14. Like most fighters have 5 or 6, and maybe another larger ship for players might have a 7. This has a 14. Don't know really how much that's going to play into the game, but weapons. Ship-to-ship turrets are basically like capital fighting ship turrets, ones that you would shoot at other capital ships. ATA are turrets that you would use against fighters that are trying to come in or missiles that are trying to come in on you. And then it has 9 Desolator class anti-capital ship torpedo launchers. That's pretty cool. Okay, and I bet you those are the same types of torpedoes that you see on the Avenger, because those look like they're about 9 meters long. Okay, escape pods. It has 16 5-man escape pods for a total of 80 men, right? Well, you could have up to 80 people on the ship, but it's not really designed to have that many. Probably about 40 or so. The escape pods are just located in various locations so that if there's ever anything catastrophic, there's always going to be enough escape pods in those areas to handle where you're at. Modular component base, it has 12 of those, and modular rooms, it has 6 of those. Who knows what's going to go into those rooms? Yeah, so that is the Javelin class destroyer. What do I see? Well, I see about 23 members, 23 to 30 people needed to fly in the ship. Are you really going to explore the universe or ferry cargo from point A to point B using the destroyer? No, I don't think that's what it's designed for. I think what it's designed for is to be a good fleet defender. So if you've got a fleet of, let's say, cargo vessels that need to get from point A to point B, I think a Javelin would be an awesome addition to that so that you could defend your fleet. But is it really for small organizations? No, I don't think so. It only can carry like 1 fighter. So if everybody's happy to be in a capital ship, sure, that's great. Now, this is something that organizations can get in the game, so you don't have to buy it now. Well, hold on, let's back this up. Yeah, these are just pledge ships to fund the development of Star Citizen. So it's just, they put them on sale just as a cash grab, basically, so that they continue developing the game. And it's not like this is something new. I mean, they continue to offer sales and concept sales and hangar sales for ships to continue the cash flow coming in so that they can continue to develop the best damn first-person game ever. So I don't fault them for it. I think it's the smart thing to do, and apparently it was very popular because all 200 sold out. So you can just imagine 200 times $2,500. All right, guys. Well, this was the episode of the Javelin Destroyer class on our ship spotlight, and I'll see you in the verse.